Okay, so first of all, I want to say welcome and thank you for those of you who are joining us for our very first town hall of the 2020-21 school year. We're so glad you took the time to be with us today. Let me just do a few housekeeping items. You might be a family who also has a child in primary. I just want to make sure you are in the correct place. This is the middle school town hall. Primary town hall will start at 5. So just want to double check that you are in the right place. Okay. And if you have a child in primary, just know that you will hear similar information because we are very much in alignment. So don't be too thrown off that you're going to hear some of the same things or see some of the same slides rather. Before we roll into our webinar, I think it's important that we take a moment to just say, well, first, thank you. We are in a very uncertain time. This is all new territory. Things are changing quickly. I remember it was a couple weeks ago, I was literally on a phone call with my supervisor and we were going over a plan that was just put in place, and then we got a call that something changed and we had to basically scrap that whole plan. So we are trying our very best to make sure what we do offer to you and your children is stability at school. And so while there may be chaos in the world right now, there is a silver lining in that the school and home really do need to be in alignment. And I look forward to that partnership. We really do have to partner and work together because we can't do this without you. We never could. But now more than ever, especially since our kids are going to be in this virtual environment for at least the first month, now more than ever, we really have to work together. And so I am excited for that piece. And the fact that if you are a returning family and you chose to send your kids to us again, thank you and welcome back. If you are new, I want to also say thank you to you guys and welcome. The fact that you are entrusting your children to us for their education and their safety means a lot to us right now. It really means a lot. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. So on the webinar today, I do want to take a moment to introduce our panelists. We have Ms. Munoz. She is our ESL coordinator. We have Elevate Spanish teacher, Ms. Sustaida, and also our ELAR teacher. We have Ms. Warlaw, the dean, our high school director. She should be on here as well, Ms. Kendra Langley. They will be assisting in answering questions in the chat. And I believe Ms. Hull, our operations director, is on the call as well. So they'll be assisting in the chat, answering any questions for you. I'm going to put on the subtitles. If you need additional translation, please put it in the Q&A. So since this is a webinar, please use the Q&A chat box. I know that you may have the option to unmute yourself, but I'm asking that you choose not to do that and just direct your questions to the panelists in the Q&A. And please make sure you direct your questions to the panelists only. So make sure that in that drop down, you're talking to the panelists only, so that way we can make sure we are answering your questions appropriately. And just received communication that Miss Perry is also on the call. She is our SPED coordinator. Hi, Miss Perry, thank you. Wasn't sure you're gonna be able to make it. So welcome everyone. And without further ado, we are going to begin the webinar. If for some reason you know of someone who was not able to get on the webinar, we are recording it and it will be sent out later.
Upcoming engagement opportunities. So during the week of August 10th, you will participate.
Sorry, just like I said, technical difficulties. Give me 1 minute. Okay, let's try this again.
However, it's the same slide that, okay, there we go.
Okay, there we go. All right, we're back. So I just want to make sure we point out some upcoming engagement opportunities. So just like this, we have this town hall. We have a few others that we will be able to continue to communicate with you. So just make a note. Again, this will be sent out, but just so you have in mind, these will be the next ones. So 8:10 will be the conferences, 8:18, 8:24, and then 9:3. Those of you who are new to Elevate Middle School, you don't know me, so you're probably wondering, like, who is this person talking in the background? Well, it's me. I am Dr. Yasan Williams, and I have the distinct pleasure of being Uplift Elevate's founding academic director. And also on the call, we have Miss Nia Wardlaw and Miss Jasmine Hall. So we're going to just give a little snippet about ourselves, and then we'll move on. This is my 11th year in education. I spent all of my educational career in traditional ISD. Last year was my first year not only to Uplift, but just to the charter school system in general. I see a lot of similarities between the two, but regardless, whether I'm in a public ISD or a public charter, my mission and my passion is always the same: to help kids excel and to make sure that everyone gets a quality education, so that way they have the power of choice in their life. My background is, my specialty is in ELAR. I started off as a middle school reading teacher and just moved up through the ranks. Ms. Wardlaw, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Hey, everyone. I am Ms. Wardlaw, and I have been with Uplift Education for 7 years now. Of course, I was part of the founding team last year here at Elevate, serving as the middle school dean. Since I've been working with Uplift, I've had all kind of roles in the mathematics department, I guess you'd say. I've taught from 6th grade math all the way up to calculus. And prior to me being an educator, I was in engineering. And so I love to merge my engineering expertise with my education expertise to really just, streamline processes and make things more efficient and effective for y'all. And so coming into this new virtual situation and all of the changes is really challenging me to really implement some of the things that I learned when I was in engineering. So I'm excited to meet all of our new families, and for all of our old families, welcome back. Not old families, but our veteran families, welcome back.
Ms. Hall, are you on?
I am here.
All right.
Awesome. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Jasmine Hall, and I am the operations director here at Uplift Elevate. Just like Dr. Williams, this is my 11th year in education, with all of that time in school operations. So I'm super excited to join the Elevate team. I just joined in March, just before we shut down for COVID-19. And so I'm really excited to dive deeper into the work and get to know all of our families. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Warlaw. Thank you, Ms. Ho. So as you know, Uplift Elevate is a part of the Uplift Network. And so we all believe in the same mission. And really the parts that are bolded are the most important for me, is that we empower students to be their best selves and reach their highest potential. We want to make sure that we are putting things in place to create lifelong learners who understand what it is to push themselves and to challenge and to have persistence and grit, and also what it means to give back to the world, especially when you've been so blessed to have choices, to be able to give back to the world and make a positive change. And so everything we do is to impact that. Part of Uplift's mission is also devoted to the whole child. And so coming from an ISD and then into Uplift, that was something that was really exciting for me. And I really enjoyed that piece, being able to really teach to and build in the social emotional learning part with the kids, because We know that they come as whole people, and so we need to deal with them as such. And Uplift really, really puts a lot of time, effort, and money into having a really good social emotional piece, because it's one thing to have a high intelligence IQ, but it's another to also have a high emotional IQ. And I like that Uplift, part of their mission is to make sure we have both. So our network goals, 70% will earn a college degree within 6 years of graduation, and 90% will earn an economically viable post-secondary credential so that they can enter a career. What I want to point out to you guys is, it's one thing when schools brag about their stats that they get kids into college. It's another thing when you look at the numbers of how many of those kids stay in college and stay to graduate successfully. So Uplift spends tons of money into that research, and that's part of our road to college. And not only do we value getting our kids into college, we also want to make sure that they still have that same support put in place, because a lot of our kids, they are first generation college attenders, and so they don't have a reference point. And so we want to make sure we still have that support for them. So we have alumni that support them in their first couple of years. We connect them to other Uplift graduates from college who are in the career field. And so I want you guys to really take solace in the fact that once you're an Uplift kid, you're always an Uplift kid. So how does Uplift Elevate on the campus level support the network's overall goals? In this particular environment that we're in, it is extremely important that you understand what our middle school priorities are. They haven't changed, but it's just going to be a rededication to the 3 C's. As you can see, it's commitment, consistency, and community. We are completely committed to making sure your child receives a high quality education. We are also going to remain consistent in our instructional practices, and being in the current environment, that has also forced us to basically level up. What other things can we do to make sure that the learning is still quality, whether your child is in person or virtual? And then just being consistent in our communication, because like I said earlier, we really have to have that partnership piece to make this work effectively. And that ties in the community piece. We have to work together. And so we are also recommitting ourselves to building those bonds and those community partnerships with you and just our community stakeholders in general. And we also really want you guys to tell us how you can also be more involved, because we get tunnel vision and we have certain things we focus on, but we are an inclusive environment and we want our families to feel welcome here too. So here's some of the things you can expect in family engagement. And Miss Susaida, like I told you, is on the call. She is also our committee lead in charge of parent engagement. So you will be hearing a lot from her later on throughout the year on these particular items. So you'll get more conferences now that we're using Zoom. That helps with the equity piece and the flexibility. Last year, some of you had a hard time being able to come to school in person. Once we are back in person, please know that that option is still available if we're just obviously following safety protocols, but we will utilize Zoom as much as possible. You will receive more parent link communication. We will also have a folder on Schoology, which I'll get to later in the presentation, that's devoted just to you as parents. And we're going to have more of these town halls and parent workshops, things of that nature. If there's anything else we need to add, again, please let us know. If you are a returning family, you should be familiar with this. So it should be a refresher. If you are new, I want to make sure you understand what the Elevate Way is. The Elevate Way is across the board. There's nothing different for the staff and then a set of different rules for the scholars. We all work through the Elevate Way. And as you can see, elevate your attitude. So if your scholar is having a rough day and they're sent to admin, one of the first things we do is ask them, what's your attitude like today? Can you elevate it? Are you evaluating it? What is within your control? So we always tie it back to the elevate way. One thing I love that my staff really hones in on is, though we are the teachers and we're at the front of the class, and yes, we are seen as the experts, we make sure our scholars know every day we come to school, we learn as much from them as they learn from us. And so learning from others, being there to enrich each other's experiences, we call ourselves a family, and we want to make sure our scholars feel loved. And so whatever we need to do to make the environment more welcoming, then that's what we do. The V is my favorite. We value play, both as a staff and for the students. Obviously, students love the play part, and they should, they're kids. But as adults, I think sometimes we get away from that. So once a month, as a staff, we do something fun together, and we just have a good time. So we play hard, but we rest assured we work hard too. We're always aspiring to get better faster. This is an ever-changing industry now more than ever, and we need to be caught up on the best instructional practices, our professional development, and we need to always be honing our craft. And so we work on that all the time in school. Every Wednesday is devoted to professional development, and we really make sure that we are pushing our teachers to be leaders and to be experts in their field. Tapping into the moment, just being present, which I know can be hard right now, but we really focus on just being present, being in the moment, what is within our control right now. And then lastly, embracing feedback, which is what I said to you before. We're all in this together, so we embrace feedback from our kids. We want to embrace feedback from our stakeholders the same. So I know this is the burning question, right? What is going to happen in the first month of school? And I want to make sure you see it says first month of school because so much is changing. We want to make sure we are dealing within what's in the locus of our control. And so the first month of school, we have it planned, it's solid, and that's what I'm going to share with you. You may have already received this from the district, but this is just our revised academic calendar with the COVID days. And so you guys know Monday is the official first day of school, August 10th, and our last day is May 28th. You should have received an email from the network with your child's Schoology login via ClassLink. If you have not received it yet, it will be coming. This will be basically our bread and butter. We will live in Schoology. Everything will be housed in Schoology. What's smart about that is if for some reason we have to go back into another closure, whether short-term or long-term, we don't have to risk having any more disruptions in the learning process. We know, just based on research that we've all covered as a staff, what our current learning loss is due to COVID, and we really want to mitigate that as much as possible. So everything will be housed on Schoology for you and your scholar. So just repeating of the same, just making sure you know what it looks like. So this is kind of like the example template the network gave us. I want you to see a real teacher's template. So let's go to hers. These are just the dates that we're going to map out so that you know what the first 4 weeks look like. Again, these were sent out to you via network, but I'll quickly go over it. Week of August 10th, so that's next week. You know that we have our mandatory parent-teacher conferences. Your scholar is required to be on that conference as well. So obviously it's Zoom, they'll just have the link wherever they are. If you were not sent any of these things, like you didn't get your login information, don't worry, we'll make sure you get it. Just put that in the chat for our panelists, and we should be able to get that to you. Week of the August 17th, we'll go into our half days. So your scholar will be with their teacher from 8 to 12, and then on their own for the rest of the day, breaking for lunch from 12 to 12:30. And then the last 2 weeks of August, we will have full days of learning. So let me make sure I explain. In the morning will be synchronous, and then the afternoon will be asynchronous. Those are just fancy words of saying in the morning, your child will be live with their teacher, and then the afternoon, they are to work independently. It's extremely important that you help us set up a schedule for your child, so that way they know during that independent time, they are responsible for doing work. Just because they're not online with their teacher doesn't mean that they are off school. They are mandated to turn in an assignment every single day into Schoology for their grade and their attendance. Our Texas Education Agency has not budged on attendance or truancy policies, so that is still in effect, and I really don't want that to be a stress for any of you in this current time. So please make sure your scholars know that during independent time, they are to work. If you received a Chromebook during the spring break closure, then you are already familiar with the EdTech help desk line. If not, this will be the email that you use in order to get help with your Chromebook issues. So this is one of our teachers' Schoology page, homepage. This is Miss Edson. She teaches science. So every teacher's Schoology homepage is going to look similar to this. It may not be as cutesy as Miss Edson's, but it will have all of the same things. So I want you to pay particular attention to right there at the bottom left where it says parent folder. Every single teacher will have a parent folder link on their homepage, and every parent folder will have the same thing. So if I send out a parent link to you guys, but it's filled with, you know, pretty pertinent information, and it's something that you may need to go back to, but you don't want to dig through your emails, it will be put in there. Things like frequently asked questions, and a big one based on the feedback from you guys last school year is how-to videos. So we want to make sure you understand the technology that your scholar is using as well, because that was where we had a gap during the closure, that your scholar is familiar with the technological platforms we use, but you weren't. So there was no way for you to really check and make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. So anything that we use, we are going to create how-to videos, put them in the parent folder for you. So Schoology, Nearpod, iExcel, any of the platforms we use, we're going to make sure you're informed as well. When you go into the Schoology class page, the first week is itemized out for what your scholar is supposed to turn in every single day. So the week of 8-10, their first assignment, that there's just teaching them how to navigate Schoology. There are how-to videos in that folder as well for your scholar. So those are there for you to view as well. 8-11, they have to upload their current family contact information. And please, 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 families, if you could help us out by making sure that your contact information is updated. I know things happen and phone numbers get changed, things like that, but if you could make sure that we are updated as much as possible when you make those changes, especially right now, we need to be able to contact you in case of anything, obviously emergencies, but we don't know what the situation can hold from any given day while we're back and in person. We really need to make sure we can contact you. Okay. So that's kind of what the Schoology page will look like when you log in with your when you log into Schoology. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to do so. So just reiterating, week of August 10th, we won't have any bell schedule, obviously. You will have your one-on-one conferences. If you have not signed up for your conference yet, please also put that in the chat. We will make sure that you are sent the link to sign up. You can sign up in any of the available slots from Monday through Friday of next week. If you have a particular situation that you may need us to address individually, please let us know that as well, and we'll deal with you on a one-off. This week, even though we're in our parent conferences, your child is still required to hand in their assignments. And so like that slide that I was just on, that outlines what they have to hand in each day. And we know that we're just kind of getting back into the swing of school, so don't worry. The assignments aren't huge and elaborate. We wouldn't do that to you guys. This is more of a gradual release, getting into it. But they are responsible for making sure they go through their internet safety and cyber etiquette videos. As you can imagine, we're going to be virtual, so it's really important that our kids understand what it means to be a scholar in a virtual environment. I know some of you were emailing me about what we have in place for cyberbullying, and so our expectations are still the same. Whether you are virtual or in person, that hasn't changed. Their expectations to behave properly are still the same. So that is the week of August 10th. August 17th, now we will get into social emotional learning curriculum. And this is where I am just really excited to be a part of this network, because I'm telling you, no other district is devoting this much time to making sure that we are adhering to your child's wellness. I promise you, everybody's focused on, you got to get back on academics. We got to make up this learning loss. And not to say that's not important to us too, but here's the thing. We've all been traumatized in some way, shape, or form, big or small, by the coronavirus. And so our kids have just been thrown out of their consistent stability, and we want to make sure that we address that. That is the elephant in the room, and we care about our kids as a whole child. So we will begin our social emotional learning curriculum on the week of August 17th. And so we'll check in on how they feel, what does it mean to be a scholar in today's day and age, what do they want from us in order for them to be successful, what does engagement look like for them. This is when we really tap into what do they need from us. And the last 2 weeks is when we start having full day classes. So again, it'll be live with their teachers until 12, and then from 12 to 3, they'll have independent work, lunch, and recess. And I am a fan of middle schoolers having recess, by the way. And the week of September 17th, the day extends to 4. For us, we may still keep our normal schedule at 3:30. So just don't be surprised if that ends up changing to 3:30 instead of 4. But right now, the day is 8 to 4, with Wednesdays being half days. If you were with us last year, you know Wednesdays were early release days, and we got out at about, I think, 1:30 or 2. So every Wednesday will be ending at 12. So just so you can plan accordingly for that. So dress code. We have a dress code, but given the circumstances of COVID and how it has affected people in a different way, especially financially, we want to make sure we're sensitive to our families' needs. So if you are remaining in virtual, because we're all going to be virtual at first, but if you are remaining in virtual, you are not required to wear a uniform, but you do need to be, and I say your child. Your child does need to be fully dressed. We're in school. I mean, I get it. They're in their home, but we're still in school, and so they still need to be prepared in a formal setting. So some of the things we saw during summer school, that's why we need to really make sure we stamp this. No pajamas, no blankets on top of their head, no laying down in their bed. My staff has to be in professional dress or in their spirit shirt, depending on the day, or their college shirt, because we're still keeping those things. My staff knows that they have to be in professional dress and teach accordingly, even though it's remote. We want your scholars to take it seriously as well. When we return for in-person, they must be in uniform. However, given how COVID has affected some of our families financially, you do not have to have the crest. You do not have to have the Elevate crest on your shirt. Your shirt needs to be gray polo. Our bottoms are navy blue. None of that has changed from our dress code. Please make sure you adhere to our shoe policy with white or tan soles. We had a lot of kids come in last year with black soles, and it was just a nightmare for our custodial staff to constantly wipe up those marks. our school is brand new and it's beautiful, and we want to just make sure we keep it looking really good. So if you guys would just make sure you adhere to those things, we'd really appreciate it. If you have uniforms from last year that have the crest, obviously those are still acceptable. So I know another big question many of you are wondering about is, what does my child's learning accommodations look like in a virtual setting? So we've been in a virtual setting since the spring break closure. So whatever amendments were sent to you during that time, we will continue having those in place. But please note, and when we get to Miss Perry, who's also on the line, our SPED coordinator, she can speak some more to that. But please know that all accommodations, 504, SPED, ESL, dyslexia will still be implemented. All accommodations will be given to the best extent while in a remote setting. So here are just a few things listed out that we have for you to make sure that your child is still taken care of. So intervention for our non-ELLs, if you remember how we organized everything last year, everyone was in some type of intervention. Again, I came from an ISD, and usually in an ISD, the focus is the bottom tier kids or the bubble kids. A lot of times our higher level kids are neglected. And so this is not me speaking bad about ISDs, because again, I spent all of my career there, but I just know the differences, and that's just how it usually goes. We make it a point to make sure that everyone is receiving intervention, and there's no negative stigma to that word. If you are a high achieving student, we have interventions put in place for you to either help you continue to remain high achieving or higher. We don't want your child to get lost in the shuffle just because they are thriving academically. That's not necessarily fair. Oh, you're already doing well, so you don't need anything extra. So we just don't believe in that. So everybody receives some type of intervention. And so in this virtual environment, when we communicate to you that your child has been put in an intervention group, they are required to attend that Zoom meeting and that class. So we have Ms. Munoz on the line. I'm going to switch over and allow Ms. Munoz to kind of give a little spiel about ESL. And Ms. Munoz, are you there?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Kinsley Munoz. I'm the ESL coordinator at Uplift Elevate. So this year we will have an additional staff member who will be able to provide small group instruction on our campus for our ESL students who do qualify for that. We will be providing those lessons virtually, and if we end up in person, we will provide them there as well. During this time, we're going to be using LLI, which is Leveled Literacy Intervention. It is well suited for virtual delivery. We are working through the kinks of that now so that we will be ready to roll that out starting next month. In January, we will also be launching a new program called SIPS, which is heavily phonics-based. It will be a better support for some of our scholars. So we do have options for what we're going to be providing, but your scholar will still be receiving support even in the virtual setting. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My phone number and email are right there. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ms. Munoz. And then we also have our SPED coordinator, Ms. Perry. So well, same thing, Ms. Perry.
Dr. Williams, she just texted me. I think she's still muted. Can you unmute her like you did me?
Okay, panelists, can I get help with that?
I'm not seeing her on the attendees. I don't know if she's under a different name.
Did she get kicked out? Okay, she was on here. Okay. All right, well, if she jumps back on, we'll allow her to say her spiel. But this is our SPED coordinator. She, same as Miss Munoz, she is here for you. If you have any questions, there's her contact information. Most of you, again, if you're returning, you've already been dealing with Miss Miss Perry since the spring break closure. So if you have any questions about your scholar, if you haven't received any information on what SPED looks like, please follow up with her and she will make sure you're getting taken care of. And of course, you were already introduced to our wonderful dean, Miss Wardlaw, but 504 is also under her. And so she is already working very diligently to make sure that we have all of our 504 procedures and protocol in place to make sure your child, again, gets the instruction that they need. Miss Wardlaw, do you want to add anything?
I'm sorry, I see that Miss Perry just hopped back on. I'm trying to admit her. But you pretty much summed it up. So any questions that you guys have about 504, dyslexia, any accommodations and or modifications that your scholar is receiving, you can direct them to myself and of course Miss Perry for IEP related questions. So yeah.
Thank you. Miss Perry? Is she muted? Can someone unmute her? Miss Perry?
I'm sorry, Dr. Williams, that was my issue. When I look in the participants list, she is not listed. So we can circle back maybe if she gets back on.
Yeah, all right guys, no worries. Okay, so our grading scale, we haven't changed it. It's the same. We kept it the same as last year. Very simple, 50, 30, 20, semester grades broken into 80 and 20. Your classwork, your child's classwork will be uploaded every day into Schoology, and that also counts as their attendance. And so I want to make sure you guys know that we are also putting a plan in place so that your scholars are receiving constant feedback, because I get it. Being in a virtual environment, it's very different, and I don't want them to feel disconnected. So we will be offering them feedback all the time, having constant communication to them regarding to the work that they're doing. Just a little bit more explanation and expectations for grades. Again, these are things that if you need more explanation, you can ask about it in your parent conference. Homework policy, still the same. Just because we're virtual, you'll still have something that you need to turn in every single day. It may not be counted in the percentage as homework, what your scholar is turning in every day, but just please know that if it's counted as homework, it will have a different weight to it. If your scholar is absent, unexcused or excused, if there are extenuating circumstances, you obviously know you can talk to us, the admin. Late work, they'll have up to 3 days to get it. It will be a 0 in the grade book until they turn it in. And every day for those up to those 3 days, it will be 10 points off. And your child's teachers are expected to have 2 grades per week, which should not be difficult because your scholar will be turning something in every day. So our first assessment of the year for our diagnostic, you guys are returning families, you guys know we use MAP. Some of you are coming from a school district that also use MAP, so you're familiar with that program. It's a norm reference test similar to an ACT or SAT, where your scholar is compared not just to their classmates or their peers in Texas, but across the country. And so we use that as our baseline to really assess what your child's weaknesses are and their strengths. And we go over it and we talk to you about it, because sometimes their academic level is not necessarily matched with their grade level. And so we want to make sure that they're on grade level at least, if not higher. So we go through this assessment. This is what we will be using to plan our first unit, to see what we need to spiral in, how much was lost during the initial COVID closure. And so we'll have these conferences with you as well. I know last year we met with a lot of families and went over this. We will continue with that consistency as your child continues to take MAP. It'll be about 3 times in a year. And so you will be informed and kept in the loop every time with their results. And I just got a message that Miss Perry is back on. All right, Miss Perry,
All right. Hi, I'm Liv Perry. I'm the SPED coordinator for Elevate. Are you going back to it? Okay. I just want to let everyone know that we will be serving scholars virtually. They will receive all of their related services. They'll receive all of their accommodations as much as possible, and I will be in contact with everyone to go over that and ensure that we have the best plan available for them during this virtual time, and then as we move into in person later on. So, but again, you feel free to reach out to me. There's my number up there and my email, and I would love to speak with all of y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Perry.
Before we move on, we've got a question in the Q&A. There was a parent asking for, just to clarify, that the students are not required to be in uniform during virtual.
No, they are not, just in appropriate dress.
Thank you.
And this is just an explanation of MAP. We also use IXL, which is also tied into MAP. And it is 4:45. Actually, it's 4:44. And we are at the conclusion of the webinar. If there are any questions that we need to expand on, again, please email any one of us. You can email myself, Ms. Wardlaw, Ms. Perry, depending on what the topic is, of course. And we will make sure that we get those answers to you. If you need us to schedule a separate Zoom for you to have more time to go over some things, we are more than available to do that as well. So just let us know what it is that you need. I want to thank all of you for signing on. I hope that you feel more at ease about moving into this new school year, and I hope you leave feeling more informed. There is a survey at the conclusion of this when we sign off. Please fill out that survey. It's really quick. Again, we embrace feedback here, and so I just like to know what else you need. Did you find this helpful? It just allows us to get better faster and keep improving for you. So if you wouldn't mind taking the time to fill out 3-4, it's just like 3-4 quick questions, I'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you all so much. We'll make sure we get to all of your questions. Before we get off, panelists, is there anything that I need to answer and address live?
Yes, we've got some questions coming in. The first one is, will we know if going back to school sooner is a possibility?
So as of now, for Tarrant County, it has not been changed to any other date other than the September 28th date. We have not received any communication that is changed. Again, parents, if you hear something different, please let us know as well.
Okay, and then we've got another question that came in that said, how will students turn in the summer packets for middle school?
So the summer packets, if you were an already returning scholar, your summer packet, yes, is due, and we will make sure that that's communicated to you in the parent conference, how you will turn that in. It will be turned into Schoology just the same, or if you need a different avenue, we'll work that out for you. If you are newly enrolled, you more than likely missed that period where you could get the Study Island login, and so we will just deal with you separately on what your child will need to be able to do instead. Your child is not going to be penalized for not being enrolled during that time.
We've got a couple of questions regarding Chromebooks. One of them is about how to log into the Chromebook, and then another one is asking for access to a Chromebook.
Okay, great question. Ms. Hall, are you still on?
I am still here.
Yeah, can you address the Chromebooks?
Sure. Can you repeat the question? Actually, I didn't hear the first one.
Yes, so the first question is, how do we log into the Chromebook?
Well, I can answer that. I wanted her to answer the Chromebook part.
Oh, yes. How do they, if they need a Chromebook, how do they, or who do they get into contact with to request one?
Okay, so for needing a Chromebook, you can send myself or Dr. Williams an email. If we already have one, well, just send us an email and we'll make sure that we can get you a Chromebook. In terms of logging in, each Chromebook should have a label on the back with the student's login information. So if that label is not on your particular Chromebook, you can also send us an email and we'll make sure we get your login credentials.
And I will, those of you that are looking for that information, give me 1 second and I'll put both of their emails in the chat so that you have access to those. We have another question.
Well, let me answer the access part
go
too.
ahead.
So in that Schoology page, once you get your login, you can go into the how-to videos to show how you access it and how you get in. If you need further help with that, send me an email and we'll make sure that we'll make additional how-to videos for you, or we can walk you through it during your parent conference. So no worries, we'll make sure that's taken care of for you. I see Miss Felicitas, if a child is absent for the day, do we need to call the school? Yes. So same thing, same attendance rules apply as if we were in our traditional environment. I know that I have some parents on here who also need to switch over and sign into the primary webinar. So I want to make sure they have enough time to come down from this and sign into that. So unless there is anything else urgent that I need to address live for everyone, we are going to follow up with these questions in the chat and get back to you guys. All of you will receive your Schoology logins, whether it comes from the network or we send it out, depending on if you didn't get it.
Make notes of,
What'd you say, Susaida?
I was gonna say that if the people who had the parents who asked questions through the Q&A, so that way we can sign off. If you could send me your email address to all the panelists, so that way I can get back to you with answers to your specific questions.
Yes, we promise we will make sure we get all of these answered. And again, if you need to use an additional Zoom, we will do that as well for you. So I am going to say thank you again. Completely appreciate it. I look forward to seeing my new families in person and seeing our kids that we haven't seen in so long. We really, really miss them, guys. We love them. So send them our best, and we can't wait to meet our new families as well. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We so appreciate you guys.